And this is the Eofauna shelf. So it's exclusively members of Eofauna on this shelf. The one I'm most interested in today is Seed. Hello and welcome back to Plastic Prehistorica, the occasional unboxing and review channel. And today we're going to have a look at this lovely Ankylosaurus from Eofauna, which was very kindly gifted to me by my good friend Dave. So I've still got the tags and things on this figure. It really was a lovely surprise, and I've had this figure for probably over a week now, and I have admired it every day. So I'll try and get this tag off the ankle, and then we can have a little look at the figure itself. Right, it took a little while to get this tag off. It was very well wrapped around the ankle. So Eofauna are more of a budget brand that pride themselves on accuracy and scientific rigour. So you don't get any fancy packaging, fancy boxes or any of that malarkey. You do get this lovely photograph of the figure, very sort of stylised as if it's its environment here. There's some stats on, it's almost like a trading card thing. And you also get, in the tag you get some information about the animal as well. So that is a really nice touch, and in honesty that is all you need with a dinosaur toy. So here she is. So because Eofauna are more of a budget brand, you're not going to get the kind of standard of detail or paintwork that you do with a PNSO brand. For example, the paintwork is a little more basic. It's definitely more akin to some of the plainer Howlong Good figures than it is to PNSO, but it's still very, very nicely applied. So if I can just lift her up here, I'll show you what I mean. So they've chosen a lovely muted sort of cryptic palette here for this Ankylosaurus, and they've given it a sort of ornamental black stripe running from the head to halfway down the spine, and then you've got these sort of chocolate browns which break up towards the hips, and it goes back to dark sort of chocolatey brown along the tail, and you can see the colour graduation here is very, very nicely done. There's perfect transition between the chocolate brown to this orange, and then finally to this sort of sandy colour on the underside, and there's a lovely dark wash over all of this, so it brings out the scale details. And then of course in this particular case they've added some brighter colour, this sort of pale grey, to break up the outline of the dinosaur. It's also a nice touch with that flash behind the eyes. The paintwork is very even, and what is also nice to see is that the scoots are done in a darker colour and some dry brushing over the keels of these osteoderms they are. And I think see there's a bit of wrinkling around the skin. So for all you're not kind of getting the incredible forensic digital detail that you maybe do in some other dinosaur figure brands, you're getting a phenomenal amount of detail here, and it's beautifully painted. You can see all these little ones are done in a different colour. There's dry brushing on the scoots of the arms. The eye is a plain black, but shiny, and it kind of pops, and it's so tiny, as you can see it against my finger here. That doesn't really matter. You see the nostrils are in here as well. The inside of the mouth is a couple of different tones of a very glossy pink. There's tooth batteries here which aren't painted, but that really doesn't detract from the figure. Some lovely dry brushing on the beak, and for all it's in, about as active a pose as you can put Ankylosaurus in, this has been captured very nicely. It really does suggest an animal that's in the middle of facing down a rival or even an enemy, with the way the head's turned and twisted to one side slightly and the jaws are agape like this, and the sort of lovely, very languid curve to the tail, which as you can see is extremely stiff, and there's not too much flesh on the club here. Beautiful weathering here, absolutely fabulous. Because Eofauna build their dinosaurs from the skeleton up, you get the ones which are most contemporarily accurate as per current information. So this lovely sort of counter-shaded pattern is known in Borealis pelta, and they've obviously chosen to replicate something along those lines here, although of course Borealis pelta was possibly more shades of red, possibly. It's difficult to tell with dinosaur skin what colour it would have been. It's much easier with things like feathers. And for all, there's no detailing on the undersides of the feet because you really don't need that. The undersides of the toenails are still painted. You do of course have a cloacal vent. It's an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, well executed Ankylosaurus, and I know there are other great Ankylosauruses available. I know it's Safari Limited to do one. The only other one I have was shown earlier in this video, and it is of course Seed. And this is PNSO's Ankylosaurus, and I was very fortunate to get a first edition of this. It's 1/35 scale, so it's the same size as Eofauna's, but as you can see, Eofauna's is far more scientifically rigorous and accurate. Seed was always one of PNSO's slightly cheaper figures. It probably still is, I haven't checked lately. And I know that the second and third editions don't quite have the depth of coloration. And you can see that this is one of PNSO's older figures now, but it's still an extraordinarily charming and very much worthwhile having this figure. It's got a lovely sort of cow-like expression, and it's got a nice active pose as well. I know a lot of people complain somewhat about this sort of languid bend in the tail club, and of course the proportions and things aren't quite as rigorous as what you see with the Eofaunas here. As you can see, they still stand up very nicely and they make a very good pair there. So now Seed has a friend, courtesy of my friend Dave. And these are both, of course, available at Everything Dinosaur. This wonderful Eofauna Ankylosaurus, I'll include a link to Everything Dinosaur in the description below. And I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this figure with me. Definitely a figure worth having. I know there's a lot of Ankylosaurus figures on the market, but this one is by far and away the most contemporaneous in terms of accuracy. And it really is beautifully done in terms of paintwork and sculpt and production values. Really, really good. Excellent stuff. No visible seams or anything. Excellent paintwork. Really can't sing its praises enough. More excellent work by Eofauna. Greatly looking forward to see what they have in store for us in the future. And I hope you enjoyed this video and that I'll see you in the next one.